This session we just look at how Bharatanatyam is actually presented, what are the different compositional forms, and just some little video clips maybe of the forms, and just to maybe go through that because it will be important. Just to reiterate, I've tried using least amount of technical words as possible. Bharatanatyam communicates whatever it communicates using three elements. One is symbolic language, which what they call as mudras. So through the symbols you can communicate whatever, the deer, the moon, the sun, hate, love, everything. Then you have movements, postural, gestural, the whole body movements, and then you have facial expressions. So it's basically a combination of all these three elements that are brought together in today's Bharatanatyam presentation. Like I told you before, there is this whole idea of pure dance vis-a-vis dance that is representational, vis-a-vis dance that is also character driven. Okay. I mean, these are distinctions that I'm making for discourse, but of course there will be overlappings that happen in certain presentations. So some are completely abstract movements of the body, not really communicating anything. Some are representing some other emotional qualities. Some is clearly a character. You play Rama, you play Krishna, you play whatever, you play all these characters. And a story is being told within the character. So the modern Bharatanatyam presentation is called the Margam, and I said that's ironic. It's called the Margam. And Margam is a word borrowed from Bharata's Natya Shastra. Okay? Not in the sense, it refers to Marga. Margi has been the old classical, the pure authentic style, the more thing, and the whole idea of the Margi and the Deshi comes in. I'm not going to go into that, but the word itself gives you a certain connectivity with the idea of Bharata, the idea of the Natya Shastra, because in the Sangeeta Ratnakara, when he talks about Marga, he's talking about the music of the Natya of Bharata. Even the Sangeeta Ratnakara, the Marga refers to, Marga means the path, obviously maybe at some point implied the ideal path or the older path, the antiquated path. So you call the Bharatanatyam performance Margam, by itself you reiterate it to be a certain old path which is referred by Shastra and Bharata. So you have certain compositional forms that are presented in the Bharatanatyam recital. Like I told you, some of them came from the ritual forms that were being presented by the Devadasis in the temples. A piece called the Pushpanjali was part of a ritual process. Kautuvam is another piece that was also part of ritual processes, which have also found their way to pure art presentations on the proscenium stage. So first we'll just go with, look at the Pushpanjali and just show you a little clip. I've just picked it all out of the internet, so you could do it as much as I can. So the Pushpanjali is, I think if you see it, you will see the dancer coming with the hand-cupped flowers in her hand. So she is, it's a kind of a prayer, offering. She prays to the earth, to the gods, to the guru, to the audience, and finally usually you will find them offering that flower to Nataraja. Now again, Nataraja is the symbol of classical dance in this country, and more so reiterated in the realm of Bharatanatyam. So you will generally find in a Bharatanatyam recital a statue of Nataraja on the, this was a stage, usually somewhere here. And you will find the Pushpanjali ending at some point of time with the dancer going there and offering the flowers to Nataraja. This is only a small clip. I don't think the whole Pushpanjali is there, but open with, volume is there? I have a problem with my video, I think. It's only showing it as a, it doesn't play AVI. Let me see. Okay. I did try, it's on an AVI file, but there's no AV, only A. It looks like I'm completely... Is there a reason why it's not coming? Can you reduce the volume? Cut padega? Zero padega. Zero padega. Let me try downloading it again. 1 second. If it's not there, I'll just have to do a explanation of it. Sorry. There's a problem in all the files, so I'm just going to ditch it. Sorry about that. I'll send you these files by, you can just upload the files to this problem. Sorry. So the Pushpanjali, you can cut the screen out. I think all the files are. So what happens is the Pushpanjali is an offering that is done. I'll send you all these files with the tags. You can just watch it on the link. Sorry about this. So it's like an offering, and then usually a Bharatanatyam recital begins with what is known as an Allaripu. It's probably the shortest item that is presented in Bharatanatyam. I've not seen an Allaripu last more than 3 minutes or 4 minutes. Again, this is a completely Nritta related piece. There is no story being told to you. There is no characterization. There is no imagery. So many of these pieces like Allaripu, when did it start? Now nobody really has an answer to that question. Nobody really knows. They know, for example, there is a reference to something called an Alaru, I think, in the Nirupanams which I had spoken about last time, which are found, manuscripts which are found, theatrical, dance presentations which are found in the Marathas documents. I think something called Alaru is there, but we don't know where these forms were really coming from. Now Allaripu is basically jatis. Now jatis, I had explained both in the music and here, are the syllabic sounds or syllabic interpretations of rhythmic sounds. All this comes from percussion instruments. But in Bharatanatyam, the combination of these sounds and some sounds that are used in Bharatanatyam, Jay Kudu, for example. Jay Kudu is never used by Mridangam players. Now Jay Kudu is something you will find people saying it when they do the sounds for Bharatanatyam. But you will not hear a Mridangam percussion instrument player saying orally when he says what he plays with the sound J. So there is some differences to how the sounds of rhythm is translated by the Mridangam player and the rhythmic sounds are translated by the dance. Now where these differences came from, I don't know. You have to check with the scholar about how this, but I also presume that many of these sounds are also created from the leg, the feet of the dancer. So while you transfer it into a verbal form, you probably are creating interpretations that are connected to the feet movement. Okay? And therefore there are differences from being just a percussive sound. So the sounds that you hear in a Bharatanatyam recital, as jatis as we call it, has a lot of percussion related sounds, ta, di, tum, keta, tum and all that, but also has some special sounds that are only said in relation to Bharatanatyam. Now if you go to Kuchipudi, you also have jatis. They will have slightly different sounds. In Kathak, they also have, but they will have different. So these are non-linguistic texts, okay, which are just sonic in creation, but they have a great quality of impacting you, okay, in the way they are said. And in Allaripu, they are not said, they are sung. I mean, you hear what you heard was the singing. So they are sung in tune. And so the dancer basically comes, and in a way the Allaripu is believed to be some kind of a setting the stage kind of a piece. So you will find the dancer using most parts of her body, the eyes, the head, and in a way also to some extent in both seated posture and in standing posture, and also moving around the stage. So kind of a setting the stage is what it's believed. I am presenting this as it is believed in modern form or how it is presented. I am not commenting about it. There are a few other forms. There is another thing called Jatiswaram. Now it's a very odd name because Jati means these syllables and Swaram means Swara, note. But the Jatiswara compositions are all only Swaras. I'll sing the first line of one. I know a few. Sa nida pada magari niri sa niri ga ma pada ni sa nida pada magari niri sa niri ga ma pada ni. And they are structured like a kirtana. So they'll have a pallavi, they have many charanas, but they are only swaras. But the form is called a jati swaram. So this has also been a question of great debate with scholars. Did it have jatis before? Some people say originally they had these sounds before, they have gone, now they only sing swaras. So this is all up to debates and questions. So this is also a non-descriptive piece. It's only physical movement that is happening. Now, then you have something called a shabda. Now, by the way, all these pieces need not be presented in one Bharatanatyam recital. These are the elements that go into a traditional recital. Sometimes one is skipped, one is not presented, all this happens. Now, a shabda is very interesting. I know some of these forms basically because my guru sang for Bharatanatyam all his life. He was a teacher, a composer in Kalakshetra. And he is from the village of Kuchipudi, by the way, where the Bhagavata Mela came from also. And so I've learned many of these pieces because I learned it from him, and I have also sung for dance a little bit. So that's how I know them. So this Shabda is very interesting. So it's probably the first piece where you will have text and you have jatis. And the kind of the text and jatis keep kind of switching between each other. Okay? And I'll just sing the first part of a Shabdam. Just pardon me if I've forgotten the lyrics, but I'll try and sing it. Tadhana dhan dhana tajanu dhim dhimi tadhim tana kita tada tata kita tam teita tatam tam teita tatam sarasi jakshulu jalaka made taruna munani archatiki jani sarigachiralu halache koni tararana tutu chunduta dharma sarasi jakshulu jalaka ma. So after this it will again come tadhana dandhana tajanu dhim dhimi tadhandhana kita tadhim dhimi kita tam teita tatam. In this there will be different ragas, but sometimes it's just in this raga. I have noticed that many of these shabdas seems to be in this raga called Kamboji. In the same tune you will find a Tamil text. In the same tune you will find on some other god. So in a way there is this similar tune that seems to be used in different languages, and sometimes it has 4 ragas. So it's interspersing of text, okay, which is on Krishna or on Muruga sometimes and different gods, and with jatis in between. Okay. Now this is where you will first time probably see the dancer doing abhinaya. The answer describing what is in the text. Once the text comes in, the meaning, idea of meaning comes in. Now, about how the text is described, I'll come to it. There are 2 ways you can look at the text. The meaning of the line.
So the dancer will alternate between Nritya and Abhinaya.
Yeah, Nritta and Abhinaya. Nritta and Abhinaya will keep switching itself. So whenever the jati comes, there's a Nritta. Whenever the text comes, there will be Abhinaya. And Abhinaya, it's again, the whole idea of the text also becomes a little layered, right? One is the meaning of the line, literal meaning of the line. So there are technical terms for all this, I'm just skipping all that, okay? Literal meaning of the line. Then there is what is, you can build on that meaning. So stories connected to that meaning. You could, interpretations of that meaning. Describing characteristics of the personality being spoken about through the line. All this becomes way by which you can describe. So first you just state the meaning, then you start doing what is known as sanchari, or start elaborating on the idea around the meaning. Now in a shabdam you don't do so much of it, it's limited, okay? You don't play around too much with it, but you still introduce the idea. So the idea of meaning itself has to be seen with greater subtlety in dance. It's not just about conveying the meaning of the lyrics. So it can be looked at so many ways. It can be looked at just as an emotive idea. It can be looked at as contextual idea. If it is about Krishna, the Krishna story of that context can be completely removed from some other incident that may reflect a similar kind of a happening. So many things can be played with it. So one important thing that what this form, interesting thing about Bharatanatyam is that intrinsically the dancer needs to hopefully know music, know text, language, strength of language, because most of the lyrics are mythological, idea of Hindu mythology, and therefore to be able to interpret all this, and other than of course the basic necessity of form and mudras and symbolism and all this, and the idea of therefore the visual, the idea of the sculpture, the idea of the space. So it's a very complex art form in its own, in its being, that is very challenging for any Bharatanatyam dancer. The main piece in a Bharatanatyam performance is what is known as a Varnam. I have one more correction to make from my Carnatic music lecture. I inadvertently said that the Tana Varnam came before the Pada Varnam. Correction. The Pada Varnam is what came first. Now to clarify what the Pada Varnam is a Varnam that's fluid in form without those very, very sharp undulations in the music, in the melody, and it reflects the Padam form in terms of its melodious flow. And I made a mistake when I said that Tana was first. Padavarnam came first and Tanavarnam came later. Now we proceed. So the Padavarnam is, I wish I could have shown you the video because I have a whole Varnam which I wanted to show you and go through it piece by piece by piece. So the video is not working, I'm so sorry. So the Varnam is divided into different parts. It has 4 lines usually first 4 lines of text, which is split as the Pallavi and the Anupallavi, interspersed by swaras which will also have text. This is the Padavarna. Then you go back to the first line, the first section is over. Then you come to the second segment, which is 2 lines of text followed by many swaras and text for that also. The whole Varna is like a story. Okay, it's describing some kind of a story. Again, they are mostly mythological, but their Varnas are all romantic. There are bhakti-related Varnas which have come in also, not that there are not, but most of the Varnas are romantic, erotic, love poetry. By default, the hero will land up to be one god or the other. Okay, but the emotions being described are extremely accessible for any human being. So what a dance, yeah. Can I stream it then? Oh, that's a good idea. It says YouTube, I can just pick it out of YouTube. If I can, that'll be lovely because I love to. Network or you have the internet? Sorry. If I can, just give me a second. I know for some reason this clip is coming as blank. It should. I can't understand why. Let's see. Properties, 1 second.
You will use this computer.
Okay, let's we'll just stream it. That's better. Yeah, can I just YouTube? Yeah, perfect. So I hope I get the same file. இதோட கேபிள் இருக்கா உங்களுக்கு? Which one was it? Okay. Thank you. So this is an old Varnam by, if I'm not mistaken, the Tanjore Quartet. Is it on? அது ஆன் இருக்கா? நீ பாருங்க. அது ஆஃபா இருக்கு. அதுதான் ஆஃபா இருக்கு. அதான் நினைச்சேன் நான். This place here. Yep. How do I close this window? How do I close this window? Okay, got it. Okay, this is an old Varnam, Manavi Chekunarada and Shankaravarnam. This is the entry of the dancer. So what the dancer usually does is you have the dancer coming in and the first line Manavi Chekunarada Anasami. This is vaguely the tune. They'll just repeat it 3-4 times, and the first opening of this Varnam is only with a Jati piece, which is only in Nritta. So initially you will see her. I'm not going to go through it because it's a. Just show you what happens. 1 second. Just give me a second. So after they present that, usually they go back to the first line. They state the line is established, the basic line meaning is established, and then they start elaborating on the idea of meaning. Okay. Now I'm not going to go through the whole. So this whole process, even in a Varnam, it's interspersed between describing the story and pure Jati sequences. So you have the story or the theme that is going on interspersed with pure dance elements, again the meaning comes in, goes on. Now you could ask the question, is there any connection between the pure dance pieces that are put in between and the story? Actually there isn't. There's no real connection. So why is the form like this? It's a question open for discussion and debate. Because in the story of the Varnam, or what is being described in the Varnam, the jatis are taken as interspersed between one section to another. So the Pallavi's 2 lines will be described, elaborated. The important part here also is the music. So I can vaguely sing out of memory. So the basic tune is this tune. So when they first only state the meaning of the line or establish that, I don't change the tune. I sing it exactly like this, okay? Then as they start describing different stories associated with the character or the line, then I start improvising also from the tune. So this is where it's very important to understand what is the relationship between the music and the dance in a form like Bharatanatyam. Ideally speaking, the music is a part of the dance. Music is not being provided for the dance. Please remember that the Sadir dancers, the Devadasis, many times themselves sang and danced. That occupation has been now, but there were also Nattuvanars dancing, not singing for the dance. But now it's completely separated, right? The dancer does not really sing. So the musician who's singing should be inhabiting every movement that is happening. So as a singer, I can tell you, if I was going to sing this composition in just a concert of my own, the same composition as part of dance, there will be 2 different kinds. Everything has to change when it becomes part of dance.